Yes.
All right, welcome everyone to the February meeting of the Historical Commission. And good to see everybody on this bright and shiny day. At least the sun's shining and it's not as cold today as it was a few days ago. And wow. So I'll call the meeting to order and we'll have JG with the roll call, please.
Chairman Larry Dorsey.
Here.
Vice Chair Karen Waligorski. Here. Who's not here? Mary Cartwright. Here. Errol Waligorski. Here. Scott Phillips.
Here.
Maureen Hogue.
Here.
Yeah. Jill Webb. Susan Stanish. Here. And Councilmember Craycraft. Here.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda, please?
I approve. I move to approve today's agenda.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Very moved and a tie for seconding, I think. Between Scott and, oh, there's the Dalton.
There's Dalton. Morning.
Sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
I'm running long.
We're just getting started. We pause for a few minutes.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome, you bet. Any public comment
We
today?
know how to close the door to give us a signal.
Oh. Hi, sign.
Give me the signal. Yeah.
All right, no public comment, I think. Is that
Let
correct?
me check for.
Oh, check.
No one online. There.
There's one of the comments.
Upset about something, yeah. Okay, so, under the updates, correspondence completed or needed?
I got Gladys's address, so I did finally sent her, thank you for that ornament.
Oh, Gladys, okay. Mhm.
The side, is it in the museum? Is it in the Assey Museum?
Yes,
Okay,
it's,
The ornament, yeah.
it's just not displayed yet.
okay, so we probably should do that in case for various reasons. And I have a quick question. Has the memory box for the, Mr. Sabato, has that actually gone to the museum or is that still here
Yes.
somewhere?
It's in the basement.
Okay, then I'll get that one sent.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah, I have a donation sheet on that,
okay,
yeah,
thank you.
but I don't have it with me.
and we'll have to send one to Bill Rich for the Boulder County Iron.
So I'll need his address.
Yeah, I can get you that, Mary. Well, I guess it's at the museum, going to think about it.
That's fine. I'm going over later to bring a pillow.
Pillowcases are donated.
You send yourself a thank you note, please.
You don't need to send me a thank you. I donated my great grandmother's pillowcase.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we have the Roman numeral 2, Marshall Fire Remembrance, over to Dalton.
Yeah, so we had a very productive meeting recently, I would say, just going over our presentation that we're going to be making to the town council at our upcoming meeting. I'll actually be making that presentation to the council. We'll be discussing kind of our overall recommendations and be asking a request to kind of proceed with the process, namely setting out plans for qualifications for different artists and welcoming their input and ideas to the process moving forward. And then the committee will start winnowing down all those applications that we receive for further kind of details about the project. Kind of the plan right now is to do something which isn't overly invasive to the environment. One of the things that we discussed was making sure when it comes to a specific location, right now the proposed location is right at Orem Roche Trailhead, close to where the rings are located. We don't want it to be a massive kind of statue right now. We do understand that kind of the location that's in mind is open space too, and actually with some of the home rule parameters, if open space was to be rezoned, that would have to go into a ballot measure. And that's not kind of what the intent is with this right now. We want it to be kind of low invasive, kind of utilize nature and its surrounding areas, a nice kind of place to gather, where it's available and accessible to individuals, also from a parking and accessibility ADA requirement goes, but also not something that's overly hidden for individuals. And this location as well had the benefit of being able to be in a spot where individuals can look out to where the majority of the Marshall Fire kind of impacted Superior and Louisville area. So we'll be having a hopefully very good presentation come Monday. You're obviously welcome to attend. And if you have any sort of additional feedback or comments, we'd love to hear them. But that's kind of the plan of attack right now.
Do you guys have a sense of the time frame yet of how things might happen?
Yeah, so this, I think it's been a bit of a longer process than we were kind of anticipating, but we wanted to take our time with it just because of the sensitivity associated with it. We also wanted to really make sure that we're gauging resident impact and input on this. So right now, the next step, if the council approves it, we will send out RFQs and make that available to artists to submit their qualifications for projects like this. As far as architects or landscape designers go, that would take a couple of months, and we can review all of that, winnow it down to ideally 3 top candidates, and then from there proceed. So it will take some time.
And then the fundraising part.
Yeah, and then there's the question of fundraising too. We do think and hope the council will be comfortable to lend us a little bit of money at the beginning to get the RFQ process going, to allow artists to have some funds made available to them to actually design some concepts. But as far as the build out goes, we're looking at a couple of different options for fundraising. And I think we as a body are fairly confident we can fundraise accordingly for kind of the needs of this. And one of kind of the things that I've said is if we got a proposal and their plan was to have just a complete block made out of solid gold, that would probably be rejected, because we will take that into consideration too as far as realistic funding goals are concerned.
Well, thanks for that update. That sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just gonna see what kind of results you get from the RFQs, I guess, in terms of proposed
Yeah, we have some images too.
memorials or monuments. Or
Yeah, we have some images. We've looked at a couple of different municipalities and counties that have also been impacted by fires and what kind of their commemorations look like. So we've incorporated a couple of those ideas, but bearing in mind, kind of, we don't want to be intrusive with the landscape. We're not going to have a giant statue put in place right there. We're looking at kind of a word that was tossed around from like its technical definition that I'm still really reticent to use in this presentation is an amphitheater, just because I think that immediately concocts a lot of like large scale images. We're not going to have Lady Gaga performing but the Orange Trailhead, but just kind of seeding potential options, utilizing the environment and nature around it to make it a place that individuals can go to. And I think a lot of this will be determinant on kind of what the artist comes up with, because there are a couple of key components that residents have expressed an interest in incorporating into this location, such as pets remembrance as well. So how they can come up with that and utilize that into this location, I think will really be determinant of what the artist is creatively able to do.
It makes me think about if thinking Ormond Roche area there, that is such a horizontal
Mhm.
view, and the fire is very horizontal too, starting at Marshall and going
Yeah,
clear past Superior Louisville, so.
yeah, so that was one of the things that we took into consideration, just the overall views, the aesthetic of the landscape. We were concerned because a lot of residents had made it a point that they were looking at Founder's Park specifically. But as much as like that area was impacted, from a realistic gathering perspective, there was a lot of just hurdles associated with that from parking, and it did impact a lot more than just that specific area too. So we were kind of looking at quote unquote a neutral area for where this could be. We also were mindful of if we were going to have any sort of place to gather or a monument of any kind, it didn't necessarily need to be or maybe should be in someone's like right backyard. So that was kind of the thought process with Orange Roach too.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dalton. Next one is the RFI log and mass media list from Maureen. Okay.
Are there any requests for information? I haven't seen any on the global list. No, then, well, as a part of the RFI, I have a draft of that global response I mentioned, so that we all know what we're saying. If we get requests, Paul, could you pass that out, please? It's just a draft, Larry, but since Town of Superior Communications can't generate an auto reply, we need to have one we can do ourselves. I thought all commission members should review and approve, even if it's just the leadership or JG who answers. The point is we acknowledge we got that inquiry and explain why it might take time to reply. Our work with Jade has shown us that it's more involved than it would appear.
All right. Is Maureen suggesting that this be a,
But like something that we copy and paste as a first response when we get an email.
or an email?
Yeah.
What about telephone call?
I usually get the calls and I usually forward them to leadership.
Okay. Thanks to Maureen for devising this for us.
Is this wording that we sort of have to use, or if someone
This.
casually says something, can we just say, well, we'll have to refer this to the town, or do we have to pull out the scanned phrase?
Well, it's just an email. I have seen JG, Larry, and Dalton answer the general history line. So it might take time for us to get back to them. The process for bringing Jade on shows us how complicated.
Yeah, so emails was,
it is.
Okay.
But we need to check all the procedures before we respond.
And we have gone over
It's
procedures
just
last
common
month
courtesy
that it's either me or leadership who answers emails.
that we're working on it.
okay. She says.
All right, next item on the agenda, probably go over to JG about the town guest services associate.
I had shared in an email last night or yesterday afternoon that we have a guest service associate that we just call GSA. Her name is Catherine, and she does work the front desk, but she has K through 12 licensure. She taught in the classroom for a year. That really didn't seem like a good fit for her. So she's sort of really interested in working in museums, and she's currently interning at History Colorado. And I literally had a side conversation with her one day talking about the need for collection management for the museum, and she just lit up. She was so excited. And so we just had the conversation with GSA management to see if we could utilize some of her hours. Her hour, we can't completely remove her from her front desk duties, but they are able to square away some hours for historic for her to help and assist with collection management. So very excited about that. And Karen and Mary worked with her, what was it, last week or the week before?
Well, the work session that we had,
Yeah.
I can't remember when that was now, but yeah, she came down to the basement and helped Mary and me. And she got really excited about putting the tags on the donations. She found all the donations really interesting to look at. So I said, is this kind of boring to you, or do you like doing this? She said, oh, no, I love doing this. So I think she can help us out on that for sure.
So I think currently the need is to sort of finish tagging and getting everything squared away.
Yes.
And once that is done, her larger job will be getting everything in that online app called Catalog It, which is a museum collection database. So once she gets that all entered, then the next monumental task will be taking photos of everything and getting those uploaded into Catalog It. So it'll be a long process, but it'll be a good one, and she's really excited about it.
Yeah, that will be a huge job. And I think she wants to become the expert in Catalog It, which is great for us.
Absolutely. And I think it's a nice pairing of her internship at History Colorado.
Also, she could actually start probably doing the catalog with things that are already have a session numbers, because she'd have times during the week or whatever that isn't an official work session.
Correct. So once she has Catalog It either on her home computer or her phone, she can literally work from anywhere. And as long as she'll just work off the spreadsheet that we already have. Yeah. So it'll be really nice to have that. And then eventually, I think I had mentioned to you that we'll also use the Catalog It account and probably Catherine's help to get the public art collection into Catalog It, because we do have two big collections for the town. So that'll be nice. And by then she'll be a pro. So I just wanted to update everybody on that. So if you see Catherine at the museum, only a few of you have met her, but I'm hoping eventually you all do. I may encourage her to come to an open museum day just to get to know
Yeah,
everyone.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be a huge help. So we appreciate you thinking of that, JG. And look forward to working with her. Under donors is Lions Club. Anything new from the Lions Club?
I think we had something right before.
Did I overlook something?
Well, wait a minute, maybe not.
Okay.
Excuse me, I jumped ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I had a meeting with Daryl McCool, and we just kind of set some parameters about what content would be loaded on the screens, but we've not had a follow-up since, so I'm assuming she and I will reconnect soon. So I think that was it, and I think Bob McCool is still working with Bob from the Lions Club
Mhm.
on covering the expense of Daryl's time. towards programming the screens. So I think he's not done with that yet, but I think he's close. That's all I know.
Okay. Things are happening with it anyway. That's
Yeah.
what's important. Yeah.
And that's the software.
Well, recent donations,
Interactive screen.
mainly is the one from Bill Rich, which we took in, and it's a lot of stuff there, a lot of small pieces of metal that we may end up just storing, shall we say, but it's some interesting things were part of that donation. And then the scanner and the little computer that runs the scanner. So we'll have to continue to evaluate whether or not that's technologically okay to use with what we're doing. It's dated, but it's supposedly very high quality when it was purchased back in the early 90s. So, and we talked earlier about sending him a thank you note.
And I have a couple to talk about here.
Yeah,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
put the little word other because I knew you had some.
Okay, Karen.
Yeah, we haven't gotten these yet, but a man named Robin offered the spinning wheel and some milk bottles to us. Okay, we turned down the spinning wheel because we don't have a place for it, and it really doesn't fit in with the time frame because we had the sewing machine. But the milk bottles, he sent me a picture. They look pretty interesting, so we can still judge that. But anyway, he's down in Louisiana, and he was on his way back, and I haven't heard back from him yet. So, but I told him we were interested in the milk bottles.
I'll try.
The other thing was Dave Thomason has the antique radio. And I contacted him and told him that we did want that. And Mary was interested in that for the Grasso Museum.
I'm not in control of that. You are the donation subcommittee.
I think we could use radio.
The last conversation I had with him was, he said, when do you want to get this? And I said, anytime that's convenient to you. And I told him where we wanted it delivered, and I haven't
We
heard back
used
from
to
him.
use
So
it.
it's potential, but we don't have them yet.
And then I see you got that. This and we're, oops,
This is the one you were talking about.
okay,
This is the one I just talked about.
gotcha. Okay, so we also had a contact from Jill Blaylock, who has more than one different last name, but she's the descendant of John Dvorsky, who was killed in an accident at the industrial mine. And so she has a lot of stuff she wants to donate, and a lot of family history. And hopefully, if I've got it right, some historic photographs of Superior.
Yeah, and you got my message about, there's a couple things he's offering that we already have. So I don't think we need another one. The rocking chair, and what was the other one? Something else.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what he had. He has a,
That's a she.
oh, Jill, okay. Excuse me. Yes, yeah. She had a child's rocking chair, didn't she, and something else?
I don't remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's two things that we already, canning jars.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, we have enough of those, I
Yeah.
think, too, now. So we don't need those two things, but the pictures she's talking about sound extremely interesting. If she's got any pictures of the scene around old Superior.
Yeah, definitely.
And she also has a lot of information on, what was it, her dad or grandfather's being killed in the mine.
Yeah, she has
Grandfather.
information
A
on,
lot of information on that too.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, newspaper articles.
Yeah.
do we know any other descendants of miners who were lost in the mine? I mean, because I'm thinking about the plaque, the miner memorial, and when we finally get everything completed, how it could be really neat to have some family members, we know where they are.
Did the Morrisons have any children in that area? Or-
Herb did, yeah.
Yeah, because his dad was killed there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody came to our booth one 4th of July, and this is like 2 or 3 years ago, and said that his grandfather or something had been killed in mine. So there's somebody around here, but we didn't get a name, and that was a long time ago. But if
Well, we
we
do
had
have
a
the
call from
Morrisons.
those people, maybe they'd show up.
Yeah,
There's a number of Dvorsky still in the Louisville.
There was that person that came on the mine walk,
Yeah,
2 years ago.
yeah. His
so
wife had the walker.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we start getting names and
But I can't remember
contact
his name. I
information.
didn't get any contact.
I think it's in notes somewhere, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, maybe if it happens
So,
anymore, we can try to gather some of that information and maybe
Mhm.
have a little
that's a great idea.
something when we get everything completed.
This sort of, I guess it would fit in here, but thinking of the photos to be donated and the ones we've already have, we need to be thinking of ways to, on rotating displays, have these scanned and up, as well as things like the bits of iron or things for rotating displays. Now that we've moved in, we're beginning to process that big backlog. Time to get more.
I like that idea, a way to display photos, whether it's a duplicate photo album or something that people can look through. That's a great idea.
When we get down to item E, I was going to suggest things like that as projects for volunteers,
Right. Good.
building rotating collections and such.
Okay. We'll cover that then. Okay, under debriefing, February 1st, open day was really well attended. I had a clicker and I got up to 26 at the Asty Museum. And I don't know if I accidentally pushed it or not, but it was a good turnout there. And then Mary had,
We had seven,
Mary
I
and
think. Oh,
Scott had, well,
Very few in the morning.
We need our clicker. You said we have another.
yeah, it's in down the basement.
Gone over, yeah.
I have an extra clicker too, if you need it.
And I don't need to always stay at grass, so I love it, but.
Yeah.
I think rotating.
How many did you have at Grasso? Those
Seven.
7 or 8?
Right, yeah.
Good.
And some of them were the same people.
Yeah, sometimes there's the same people who did both.
Yeah.
Both museums.
Which we encourage.
Yes, exactly.
And also not everybody got counted, so, I mean, I can say safely since I was the counter that.
That's sort of what he was doing.
A new way of padding statistics.
Yeah, I got into a couple of lively conversations with 2 different people down there.
Mhm.
I think they're coming back. They sort of enjoyed it.
Yeah, there seems to be a new vitality or something that's exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people move into
Yeah.
the city in the
That's
last
what
couple
these-
of years.
That's what these
Yeah.
were.
Over in Dalton's neighborhood,
That
for example.
Combs is really doing a great job advertising it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's been a big
Word is
help.
Getting out, and I think those residents that don't know or haven't been, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that reminds me, when's the Hello Superior going to come out? Is it going to be in time for our spring program?
Might be close.
Yeah. We wondered about that.
Yeah,
Well, the Heritage Roundtable meeting yesterday was primarily on getting organized for the
Do you,
preservation
no,
ceremony in May, which will be the Monday after Mother's Day. I think it's the 12th of May. And so this will be historic preservation recognition and the Square Nail Award for preservation. And that was the main thing.
Is that always at Chautauqua?
Pardon me?
Is that always at
Yeah,
Chautauqua?
it's at the Chautauqua Community House.
stuff.
Already reserved, so ready to go. And
She says take a few in case we have multiple rounds. In case there's a big huge on this.
I'm gonna rank order.
well, I'm worried about this election already. I think it needs to be investigated. Justice
Stuffing
Department.
ocean.
Into the invisible box.
Yeah, a few rounds.
Well, JG sent out an email.
I sent out, so we put out a call for, nominations and self-nominations. And as I had said, obviously those unknowingly nominated are able to accept the nomination or decline the nomination. So for, we have 2 nominations for chair, Larry and Dalton. For vice chair, we have 4 nominations, Karen, Dalton, Larry, and Scott.
I will decline my nomination, but say thank you for the recognition.
Okay, and for secretary, we have 3 nominations for Mary, Bill, and Susan.
And then also declining my nomination. Not enough experience yet.
And I will decline for chair.
Wait a minute, I get to decline first. Don't I get some seniority there?
Declining one?
You won't need the paper.
Pass those ballots back.
And I was gonna say, while I'm happy to continue, I would be really pleased that someone else could go for secretary. But if you've declined,
And Jill's not here.
Jill's not here.
I did have a question. Last year, we selected 2 vice chairs. Are we going to select 2 again this year?
I think that's completely up to the group. You could also do co-chairs, I suppose, too. I mean, it's really completely up to you. I think, you know, all of the other advisory committees usually just have 1 of each, but there's nothing to say that you can't do it differently.
I think the chairperson needs some help, so I think
Yeah.
2 vice chairs, like you said, is appropriate, but also a co-chair.
Yeah.
But
Maureen
maybe
is
we're not,
pushing for
if
co-chair.
Dalton's not interested in being co-chair, that's up to you 2.
If it's co-chair, I'd be okay, but I think chair on my own, just given everything that I'm juggling with, I think it'd be irresponsible for me to be chair. I want to be able to give it my all, but I'm more than happy to help Larry as like a co-chair or continue
Yeah.
on as vice.
Paul has something.
So Maureen was pushing for co-chairs and sort of looking at you 2, one that's really into all the mechanics of the museum and one that's more into the mechanics of the city and things that are going on.
Yeah, I mean, that, I'm more than sure that if Larry is
That was
amenable.
That's what she was advocating.
Well, I'm really thinking that we need some fresh leadership. And so that's why I'd rather pass it on to somebody else. But that might be a solution, though. Dalton, if you're that adamant about not wanting to do it.
I just want to make sure that I have enough time to
Yeah,
adequately,
you
because I
understand
was
that.
late to this meeting too, so.
If there were, if for instance, you were to chair and you have 2 coach or vice chairs that were heavily involved, would that change, or would you like the idea of a co-chair better?
I'd like the idea, potentially, I mean, if we're looking at this from like a long-term perspective, we could maybe do co-chair for a year, and then potentially after that, singular chair.
Yeah,
If that's okay.
that would be sensible, just
Yeah.
from a human standpoint, there'd be a sort of a training ground, which.
Yeah, that's
all
great.
to me.
What do you think, Larry? You say,
Yeah, okay. I can do that.
yeah.
So
Well, yeah, and you have to realize Larry's been doing this, what, 15 years? Or more, and after a while, you get into a burnout. At least, and that's my opinion. I'm not accusing you of anything. Seriously.
Yeah, right, Wally.
But I think you get into a burnout. And after a while, it's like, I need some relief. So,
Well, I'm thinking of the committee too. The commission needs, it'd be beneficial to have a fresher, different perspective from others, I think.
Absolutely.
In leadership.
Absolutely.
So,
Wally, you want to be chair?
No.
we only did it for a few years.
Well, I only did it for, what, 8 years, 10 years, something like that.
Well, if you both got voted in and then exited the chair, you'd be dumping on the vice chair anyway.
I mean, the good thing is I don't have any plans to leave anytime soon.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. We thought about that too. Well, the two vice chairs willing to keep serving and.
Well,
Capacity.
Dalton.
Oh, Dalton, one up.
So we have 2 positions for chair and we are down to how many on vice chair now? Who's on the vice chair list?
That'd probably end up being one vice chair.
She had 4 people, but
There was,
I think we're
for
down to,
the nominations for vice chair were Karen, Dalton, Larry, and Scott.
All right, so we're down to Karen if they get voted in chair, otherwise one of them could be
Or
voted
there
vice
could be
chair.
other nominations as well
yeah,
today.
somebody else.
Yeah,
We don't have to just go by the email nominations.
Yeah, are there any nominations from the floor?
oh, I support the co-chair concept.
And one vice chair? Or 2?
Well, if the co-chairs get voted in, I suppose one vice chair. How do you feel about that, Karen?
I'm fine with the vice chair. And if those 2 are the co-chairs, it works for me, but if somebody else wants to join.
But the vice
me
chair,
in that, that's,
for the chair doesn't belong. The vice chair would need to suck for one of those.
Yeah.
They're 2 co-chairs.
What is she saying?
Oh, she was just asking if the vice chair, what vice chair would still sub for the co-chairs.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, she does.
Yes, she did.
Well, should we want to go through this or should we do it?
You seem like you've got it sort of settled.
they have it settled.
We don't have to-
use the issue.
Yeah, we don't have to unless, if it's straightforward and clear, you can just,
Well, are we down to like single candidates or sets of candidates for each position now anyway?
I think we might be unless someone wants to make a motion to kind of self-nominate on the floor for a different position.
Well, at this point, we're talking about 2 people as co-chairs and one as vice chair.
And one is
And that's
secretary.
3 people right there, so.
And one is secretary.
Secretary.
So
That's right. That's right.
I just don't
Sorry, guys.
know anything about it.
Sorry, Madam Secretary.
we can always have a backup secretary.
Yeah, and you have.
Mhm.
Jill is retiring in March.
And with Jill not here, we can have that conversation and she could actually co-secretary.
I could maybe shadow some of what you do, Mary, because I honestly don't even know what it is, so I feel a little
Right.
reluctant to say job I don't even.
I scribble notes because I don't have a laptop. And then I go home and try and translate and I taught English long enough, but some of the words here never appear over there because I'm trying to make a sentence from this, and that's all I do. Really, and then.
Very scientific.
To me,
It is.
and I format them a little bit. She does a great job. I just tweak a little bit and then I send it to leadership for leadership to approve.
So it's mainly note taking?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then she does the correspondence too.
Okay.
It just is.
Well, maybe I could shadow you a little bit and you can,
Okay.
through the course of the year and then,
Okay.
so that you don't have to feel like you're stuck in this job for life.
Maybe, copy her when you send them the draft to me
Okay.
and we'll just involve you in that drafting.
Okay.
So is there a motion to have Dalton and Larry as chairs, Karen as vice chair, and Mary continue as secretary.
Because others are on the ballot.
Yeah. To keep this fair, I move that we have a vote for the co-chair of Larry Dorsey and Dalton Ballett, a vice chair of Karen Walagorski, and a secretary of Mary Cartwright.
So a second,
I'll second the motion.
it's been seconded by Wally. So
All in favor?
all in favor,
Aye.
raise your hand or something.
Ayes are well the nose motion.
Anybody opposed?
There's some scrap paper.
Always.
I think that could be a good solution.
I know, it's gonna be tight.
Like last year, yeah.
Remember I had to go get Post-its last?
Yeah,
And you failed.
Came prepared this year.
I never.
we're just trying to go
I
green.
don't want to position myself in positions in
Look at all those wasted ballots.
No, this will be a notepad now.
Yes, they're a nice size for that.
Yes, they are.
So the national board in committee, so she was pushing for you.
Well, thank you. That
Yes.
was great.
Thank you for what you did.
I am enjoying my life of irresponsibility.
You want to continue? Dalton, the chair?
Sure, I can continue to.
Okay, get some practice in.
Absolutely.
Jump in, get your feet wet.
Yeah, I'll correct you all the way, but
Sleep clean is.
He has a red pen.
yes.
See how this is already gonna go. The banter will be wonderful.
Well, the next item then, in discussion items, item number 2 is the stipend for the spring program guest speaker. And this is a vote. Have we all settled on kind of a figure for this as far as the guest speaker goes?
Did Mary give you a stipend amount or
Pardon me?
did Mary request the stipend
No.
amount? Okay, is she okay with what?
Well, I don't know her that well. I think she'd be flattered with anything. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What did we do for the geology? Do you remember?
He refused.
Oh, that's right.
Because he's the state of.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's right.
We started with 25 years ago,
Yeah.
but I think we moved up to like a gift card for 50.
Yes. That's one of my recollection too.
I mean, how would that sound? Where would the gift card be? Have we thought about that potentially?
We've just been getting those,
Or
like
just
$50.
the visa?
Like a
Yeah, the visa type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want it a little higher or is 50 okay or?
I think 50 would be fine, at least for now.
Does she live very far away? She lives in Boulder?
It's in Boulder.
Yeah. Okay. That would make it.
So you don't have to worry about lodging.
Sure, yeah.
So I'd be fine with, I think $50 visa seems reasonable.
So I vote,
Then I move that we get, provide a $50 stipend to our speaker in March.
Seconded.
You seconded, Ronald?
Yeah, Wally did.
Vote.
Hmm?
Vote.
Yeah, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Did you need a motion and a second for that?
We did, Larry.
Got it.
It was very.
All right, motion carried then.
Moving right along.
Third item would then be the Indigenous Connection Summit fee for one Superior Historical Commission member.
Unless someone else wants to go. I think that registration is really close to closing if it hasn't already, but I could double check today. But right now we have Scott registered.
Oh, okay.
It's a 2-day event in Golden.
And the amount is
yes.
$260.
Yeah.
$260 for a 2-day conference.
with some amount of food involved.
Correct.
Ooh.
Wallace
Food,
said-
didn't know about food.
Yeah.
I move that we, definitely, does anyone else want to go before I move in the mail?
You have discussion after your motion.
Okay, I move that we, support our representative to the Indigenous Connection Summit
I'll
for
second.
260.
And I'll second that.
I don't already.
I think you're right.
It was 30.
No,
Yeah,
there we go.
heard it. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
I, yeah.
I,
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes.
I'm so glad you get to.
Spending money. But I have to get out of leadership. There goes the money.
I still may go, but I think you reported back.
That sounds very appropriate, Scott.
Okay, now the indigenous people now, is there just more than, what is it, the Arapaho?
Yeah.
Is there more than them there, or is it
Yeah,
strictly that?
I believe there will be huge representation as well. I read it, I don't remember the full list, but there will at least be that. There might be some Sioux.
Ooh, that would be
I
interesting.
don't recall.
Yeah, that would be very
So
interesting.
you're going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be fascinating. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what your thoughts are as well. Have you attended kind of a similar summit like this previously?
Many times, yeah.
Was anyone able to go to the, ANFRAM meeting in History Colorado last week?
I did.
You did?
Oh, did you?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
How was that?
Yeah, so they also had an Indigenous Relations for Museums presentation by History Colorado, given by Shannon Worrell, the director of their affiliate network. And basically it was discussing how museums can establish relations with tribes and considerations of like the land acknowledgement issue and et cetera. And they reminded that, as we'd already recognized, that you want to work with tribes directly on land acknowledgement to make it meaningful, you know, and don't start with land acknowledgement, start with reaching out to tribes and just talking to them. And I did request their slide presentation, and they said they would send it through the ANFRAM lead, but I have not seen it. So if anyone else has seen a slide deck in the ANFRAM email, otherwise we should follow up with them and ask for it, because it had good bulleted notes that the groups could see. And because it had good bulleted notes, I did not jot additional notes other than the ones I'm giving now. But also the second half was on the director or their affiliate network, and that's fairly recently started. And I don't know if we're an affiliate network with the History Colorado yet, but we should, because I believe at our budget level for the time being, and it could change, the membership fee is $1. And it goes up from there.
Oh, I'll look into that. I just pulled up the Golden History, the summit, and it says the summit will bring together Tribal Historic Preservation Office and tribal representatives from some of the 51 federally recognized tribes.
Yeah, the speaker,
with historic ties to Colorado.
and the speaker list is what I was looking at to help identify some of the specific ones. Another note on the affiliate network is they do have loaner collections, and it sounded like they had more collections developed than was on the list when we looked last year at what collections we can get on loan, including ones for Native American exhibits that we lack and would like to rotate through. There is a fee involved with them still, but the affiliate network gets a discount. And they have a variety of, they do have Native American interpretive ones that sounded interesting. And they have sets with artifacts and sets without artifacts. You know, they're more just interpretive exhibits or historical information exhibits. But I think we should look into that. And I also think if we have a volunteer who's interested in managing a project, maybe help spearhead, look into and investigate those exhibits and setting up an exhibit for us might be a good project, especially for someone already interned at History Colorado or that would like to manage a
Yeah.
project out of high school.
And having worked with museum collections, I think first, before we, got a potential intern involved, looking at their parameters for loan.
Right, but some of them don't involve artifacts, and that's, yeah.
Now, are you talking about them possibly having exhibits in our museum?
So they have loaner exhibits that they can package up, and some of them don't have artifacts, so they're similar to loan. And some of them do, which brings up the what are the stuff? Yeah, so basically they might be interpretive and display stuff, educational displays on various topics.
Yeah.
Or like duplicated images. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, if we had the room and we can do it, I would sort of like to see them maybe come in with a little something into our museum, interpretive, if they have anything that we can display, a little bit. Obviously won't be able to do much, but I would like to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And while we have the Grasso space over there too, I think we could make room there for that type of display, store some of the front stuff and make room in the front room.
Yeah, I don't care which one it's in. I would really like to see that.
Yeah.
And right now we have that empty display case that just got moved to Asti too.
Yeah.
I put stuff in it. I put the fire stuff in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. But, or it's got,
So we can always
got,
have another one.
it's a rotating thing and you
Yeah.
get things out and put things in. Because I think artifacts themselves would draw more people than just boards of information together. Would be good. Anyway, some neat possibilities. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for going to that too, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
You may have the card from the
Thank you.
affiliate.
Yeah, that'd be great if we can join the affiliate network. I think there's a lot of
Absolutely.
potential in the future there.
Do you want to find out the official business for that, JG, so we can make that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Gonna look right into that.
Great, thank you. All right, so the next item is related to QR codes and collaboration with CAPS. So during actually a lot of my discussions with the Marshall Fire Remembrance Committee, JG brought this up as well. CAPS committee is actually looking at generating some QR codes that could be associated with some of the art pieces throughout town, so residents can learn a little bit more about that. And we were kind of discussing too about utilizing some QR code options at potentially some of the signs that we have right now, such as at the cemetery. I know we need to update one of the signs in Asti Park for the museum. We could potentially include QR codes with that and potentially utilize QR codes in the Marshall Fire display on the screens too, so people can actually bring some of the information at home on their phones. Andrew, who's the chair of CAPS, and I looked at a couple of different options for QR codes and with signs too, because I know one of the concerns that I raised about installing like a permanent fixture with a QR code is you really want to make sure that the link doesn't change, because then all of a sudden you have a really nice display with a link that goes to nowhere. But there were actually some very kind of innovative designs that we saw. I think they were in Lafayette or Longmont. We actually have a slide that you can go in and change out a QR code as it's potentially updated. So that was something I thought we could potentially look at that. And I thought a very good and maybe easy start with this could be with the Marshall Fire display, because we can just generate a QR code, put that on very easily, test it out to see where do we want it to have it linked to. Do we want to have it linked to, let's say, a 9 News video segment about the Marshall Fire, just see how it goes, kind of see the reception, and then we could go from there. But I wanted to see what everyone's thought process was on this, and then potentially expanding QR codes throughout town that people can use at and reference kind of historical items or significant parts throughout Superior.
And like even the coal cards.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Jill had started work on this, back when she was on the commission before, and then life sort of interfered, I think. So we've always been open to that idea, swishing into the 21st century that way. Yeah, I mean, it's so useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the idea as far as kind of like a testing goes, utilizing the displays too, because that's something, if it doesn't work and people really don't like it, that's very, very quick and easy, literally free to change as well, as opposed to going through the process of potentially adding them throughout town. But I know CAPS was looking at a couple of the different design options if we wanted to have one like by the mine cart or by the miners memorial potentially.
I like the idea of the consistency too between, collection.
Yeah. And I think it ties together kind of now with the idea of like arts and history. So it's all just consistently together.
I've come across something called Pocket Sites. It's an app. And I can pass this around if you want to see it, but this 2 years ago when I went to the preservation conference in Boulder, did this walking tour. And so what the person's able to do is to put in photographs and texts. And this is it's a self-guide, it's a walk. It's a historic walk. And this, you take this long and stop at spot 1 and spot 2, and it shows you the photo and tells you the little history shot there. And I think this
Should be made out at the,
pardon?
at the mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I think, an alternative. I don't think be instead of, if you want to see that. And you can swipe up, I think, and see some of the other stops. But that was for the Black History, the Goss Cove neighborhood in Boulder, which had the minority population back in the day.
And you said it was called Pocket
Sites,
Pocket.
SIGH.
Sounds like a missile pocket site.
Yeah. And so I think, we get into this technology with the QR codes on key spots and then having self-guided tours, or I guess what, I forget what you call
And
it.
actually with CAPS doing their artery path.
Yeah.
That could work well too. They could walk the artery
Yes, yeah,
and have that app.
right.
That's pretty cool.
In the
Well,
long
it's
run,
real slick.
in the long run, it might be nice to have like the individual buildings at Grasswood Park and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
addressed that way.
And it could also, the McCools have talked about having a plaque or something on the properties where the historic houses were lost, and that could be part of it. It could be something like that too.
Yeah, I had talked to Daryl about that, having one of the original miners' cabins myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even in reflection, it would be neat to have a photo of the original when you stand up against
Yes.
the new. That might be a real neat.
They could talk about putting a photo on the sign too, but this would be an alternative.
Yeah.
A long-term dream that I think Dalton and I had talked about walking around before is to be able to have historic photos and hold up the phone and turn around and see what it looked like historically.
Artificial reality.
Yeah, see the.
Yeah. That would be incredible if you could be out in the open space and just look around.
Don't you have something with pictures on what was originally here at one time? Because somebody wanted to get a picture of what they had before the fire burned it, and they got in touch with you and.
Yes.
And we have essentially all the photos from the lost area are on our hard drive. So, town's hard drive.
Yeah, I've done that for a couple people. Yeah.
That's for you to look at. Okay.
What's that app called again?
Pocket sites,
Yes.
Site, SITE,
GH. Yeah,
GHT.
I had the same thought too. All right, well then, we're all good there. We can move on to the next item, which is the status of the application for Grasswood Park National Register. Any additional updates there?
I noticed some of the history needed to be changed, so worked on that the other day with Jill. I think when she gets back, we, three of us probably ought to go back over that, huh?
Yeah, my recommendation, it needs to be much more robust for the National Register nomination. Otherwise, we'll be sending it in and have other people deciding how it should be, whereas we want to say, this is why it's important to the town, and this is what we're promoting, so that we're getting them to review rather than just asking politely, what do you think? You know?
Yeah.
So to back up just a minute, Jill had sent out the application, I think in December. And then just with the holidays and everything, followed back up in January. And I did kind of my part, but then I sort of took it upon myself to create a focus group of Larry and Scott, and then Jill sort of leading. So once we get any feedback, I'll probably let the town administration take a look at that before it gets submitted.
Good idea.
So I'm
Yes.
guessing it's gonna be another month or two before we get that finalized. I'm guessing,
All right.
ish. And we can certainly send it out to this group also before it goes out, just so everybody
Good idea.
sees what the status of the application, and, somebody might notice something that we did not, so.
Definitely.
But lots of requirements as far as very specific types of aerial maps and
Well,
property designations and stuff.
I looked at that in their advice. That form was designed for properties that had not previously been recorded.
Yeah, but I still followed it and got the pictures in line.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, I recommended some updates in the copy I sent back this morning as well.
great.
Their use of the county assessor lots is neither correct for our particular lot nor required.
Ooh, interesting. So should we leave it on?
No, we just use the site boundary that already exists.
See, that's why
There you go.
we've got
And
it.
that's my recommendation. But anyway, it sounds like we have a lot of coordination to go on, and I didn't know Jill was retiring, and this goes into March and she has more time, so much the better. Right?
There we go.
I think Maureen is next.
So,
Sorry.
the next item was going to be related to Maureen's point, which is actually the threefold brochure, fascinating fact sheet.
May I have the first? May I explain my concept? Well, I believe we should update the one that Katie Olson did 6 years ago as a part of the grand opening of the Asti Park Museum. I can bring it up to date and modify it. We will need to show a paragraph about the Marshall Fire and the museum rebuild. I would like to draft the text and have all commission members review it. Then we would need to set up photo shoots. When will the interior of the museum be complete in terms of the displays and the video monitors? Do we have a schedule yet?
Can I just ask, is she talking about a paper brochure and a handout to people?
Yeah, I think she is. That's what we had before. And, but I think what she's asking is, when can you take photos of the finished Because we don't have the screens up and stuff in the museum yet.
Well, I don't know if the screens have to be up or that can hold things up tremendously. I don't think photographs of screens would behoove, but I think to her other point, having the museum done, but I know that there's some shelves that need to be built and, I think we're a little, it's open and people visit, but as far as having it completely done.
And the museum is always a moving, there's never a done. If you're having, let's say we really got to go, we rotating exhibits and that kind of thing,
I think it would be up to the group if you would want to wait to have it photographed until those shelves are done or just do it now. It's completely up to you all. How soon?
Well, it won't take long to print up any brochure. And last May I got a quote from Morale Printing, just a ballpark figure, about $715, but that will vary depending on type of photos we have, quality of paper and such. But we should try to have it all together for the grand opening. Then I would suggest we reprint the article Larry did on Ted Hastings as a handout. That was in September 2005 when Larry did a quarterly column in the Superior newsletter. It's a nice article that gives a background on what Ted did for town of Superior. May we have permission to reprint that?
Yes.
He says.
Feel so important now.
Well, Larry, I have a print copy, but not an electronic file. Do you have your original Word file? I'll need to bring it up to date a bit since Ted died 8 years ago. We'll need some editor's notes on it to explain its significance, but that is something we can print on our own. Then the third handout would be a sort of fact sheet on Superior in general. I have a draft here of fascinating facts.
Thank you.
That's just a draft and not complete. And I would view it as a dynamic document. We have the Marshall Fire now and the successful passing of Home Rule. So history is always being made. We could also use it as speaker's notes if we go to a place like Heritage Roundtable, or we're training new volunteers. Since Mayor Pro Tem Jason wanted to bring city council in as volunteers, then we'd have this fact sheet they could work with.
I should have that electronic. I've got paper copy also of the SD article, and it's in Publisher, though it's not in Word. And it's could be modernized. It's better. Publisher is always hard to use, I thought. So it might be another.
The town has publisher capability somewhere? Adobe, full Adobe.
I have the full suite myself, yeah.
Well, again, we need all commission members to review and approve. Maybe another commission member knows something else we have left out. I am sure things went on between 1945 and 2021. of course, we did have the designation of the Coal Creek Agricultural Valley back in 98. And Jill's working on the registry for Grasso Park. We'd want that. Then do I understand it right that the industrial mine is a landmark of Boulder County? That's a designation within Boulder County, not state or national.
Yeah, right.
Not yet.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Oh, not yet. Oh, well, there are things going on. We would add to them as they become official. As I said, dynamic document and a template anybody could work from.
I think the question too that you all could discuss is using paper or not. If there's a way to do electronic copies, I think with the town really trying to bolster sustainability and things like that, that could be something to discuss as well.
I mean, we could potentially have like a threefold brochure, have maybe like 2 or 3 copies laminated and then just accessible in the museum, so then people can reference them or use them in museum space, but then not take it with them.
Right.
That's one that you could put in the QR.
Yeah, and we can add a QR code
Yeah.
and people can
So
scan
they
that.
can just take it with them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just thinking that's a really big expense to be handing things out.
yeah, we're just printing it constantly. Mhm.
And the same with Ted Asti's information, which I think is great. Yeah, but again, have copies and the QR code, and people, if they're interested, they can.
Yeah, and then you could even, I've seen museums where they have like racks where you pull out documents that are laminated so you can read them and just put them back.
Yeah.
And, you can even have little tabs on the top with, superior history or, so people can pull what they want.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be good, but yeah, I'd lean more in favor of that than having a lot of paper documents that we just have, and then we need to continuously print and give out to people.
I'm definitely in favor of having stuff and materials available for the grand opening as recommended.
Yeah.
That's coming up on the agenda too, huh?
Okay. All right.
Well, as far, are we all good with the threefold brochure discussion?
Do we have a group yet?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the one she's talking about or not. This is a mock-up. It's not finished, so we're just getting started. Think of another one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there was a finished product.
I think so too, yeah, so.
So, Dalton, I think the question is still out there. Do we want to update them regardless of how they're produced?
Yeah, I think we should probably update them with a couple of different key points. I mean, martial fire in particular, and then we can include home rule, not to toot my own or Heather's on that, but that can just give some additional details there as well, because they're respective historical events.
What about the idea of a subcommittee for this project? Because it sort of feels like a 2-part where, Maureen might be leading some of the writing, but then the actual printing, laminating, and displaying seems like another part.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'd be more than okay with that. I'm happy to be on that subcommittee to help as far as display or designing goes.
What could we call that subcommittee?
I mean, if we wanted to maybe expand it and potentially look at some options for a couple of different threefold brochures that we could have available and then laminate them, it could just be the brochure subcommittee that we could look at expanding some, because we could have a brochure I mean, there's a lot of templates. I've made a decent amount of full brochures previously. There's just so many templates available. If you have the information, you can plug it in very quickly online. We could have one maybe exclusively focused on the Marshall Fire, or even the build out process of the museum in question.
And I had one, I made up one, how to get from Astor Park to the industrial mine site to,
Yeah.
to copy of.
Well, that might be really great, Dalton, because I think it sort of fits a little bit in with being involved with QRs. It's sort of like all things descriptions.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd be happy to help with that.
Right?
If we wanted to have a subcommittee, if Maureen wanted to be involved too, and we find another or two individuals as well.
Yeah, maybe start out with two, since that's sort of the limit for subcommittees. Just to get it launched and off the ground and then see where it goes from there. I think that would be great. If Maureen is okay with that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's a
I
yes.
think that was the,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
okay,
Perfect.
You know, the question would be if there is a digital version of Katie Olson's thing, then that's one document she could
I
work.
could always ask Katie, actually.
Yeah.
I bet she's got it on her hard drive or something.
I'll take a look too, just in case. When do you think she created it?
She thinks 5 or 6 years ago. It's been since I've showed up a few times.
Really? Okay.
Okay, I'm making a note. I'll try to look for it too. I have a paper copy at home. Yeah, I think I have a paper copy, but an additional one would be great to be able to send Maureen and Dalton.
Flavor.
Yeah.
I can see a Grasso Park laminated. Something that people could carry around as they're looking at the different buildings, bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So will it be just Dalton and Maureen, or is Maureen sort of a separate writing person and Dalton and someone else?
I think, I don't know, in my mind, I was thinking they work together so that Maureen isn't writing all alone. She's got somebody to bounce off of and then Dalton could contribute, but what do you
Yeah,
think?
That works with me. And then if I have the text, and I can kind of copy and paste it just into different templates and designs. And if we come up with maybe 2, 3, 4 different brochure ideas, because I don't want Maureen to be writing too much, but then we can just have some original ideas for each of them, maybe focused on Marshall Fire, just Superior in general as far as the history goes. We could have one about Indigenous history as well, and then go from there.
I think that's great. I think it's great for an individual to lead a project, but have the subcommittee for support.
I might just put out a request, who wants to be a part of the committee, let the dust settle here a little bit. And
Yeah, but it sounds like right now it's Maureen and Dalton.
Yeah.
For now. You know, it goes.
I don't need to be part of the subcommittee, but I do have a write-up on Astor Park, excuse me, that I used for the second grade field trips. So that's got some information on Ted Astor and his life and why the park was named after him. So
That actually reminds me, Maureen long ago had talked about docent information, you know, anybody who would be giving information out, and that just reminded me, like, creating docent sheets.
it'd be good to do that.
Yeah.
Sheets, yeah, so that could just be part of that
Yeah.
list.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
All right. So the next item then is the mid-month work session.
Well, this was mine. Back before the fire, we generally had a mid-month work session to go down in the basement, the sessioning items, putting them on Past Perfect. And we pretty much did every month just to try to keep the flow going. And I just thought it'd be a good idea, maybe every month to set a date. And then if we have it set ahead of time, JG can advertise it. We don't have to worry about. And as many of us that can come, fine. And if anyone in the town wants to join, fine. Great and wonderful.
I think it's a great idea because I think as subcommittee, you can meet anytime because you're just two. But if there's any more, then that constitutes a meeting. So if there is a work session set up, as Mary is suggesting, then that way anybody can show up to that work session.
If we're in the basement putting tags on things, it actually works better to just have two people doing that.
And
But if a third person showed up, do we have to let you know then, or?
technically, if there's more than two, it constitutes a meeting.
Okay.
But, you know,
But it's a work session, it's,
right, and it's fine. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Because besides putting tags on, which is just two people, someone else can be going through and saying, well, this could really move to, there's other things that need to be
Yes.
done besides. tags.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
So maybe some suggestions of a date.
Right. Well, in the old days, we used to choose another Friday at 10 o'clock just because that worked. I don't know if that works for you, Susan. And I know Mr. Phillips here is gainfully employed.
It would have to be a special need.
Right. I mean, but I just threw that out.
So maybe a Friday or a Saturday. What do you all think?
People have other activities on Saturdays, I think.
I know for myself, Fridays I could potentially work, but similarly with Scott, I would need kind of like advance notice to try to book time away.
But if it was a standing.
Yeah.
If it was standing, I think that could make it.
Then that way you could go or not go, or you could
Yeah.
go when you want to.
So once a month or twice a month?
Oh, once a month besides the meeting.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can make that work most of the time.
I mean, the other situation for me is I have a team meeting standing every Friday at this time too that I'm missing right now. Once a month, so.
I mean, most of the time it'll be manually handling artifacts and trying to get them out.
Yeah, there's always something to do at the museum,
Yeah,
so,
Yeah,
yeah, there's many.
and I can contact Catherine about the part that she and I were doing,
Okay.
or Mary and I.
If you, do you want to decide now or?
I think we'd better. So
Okay.
it doesn't go to-
That way I can get it on the calendar.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Would we want to have this kind of between when we have the open house, the museum openings?
Yeah.
So then we can have museum openings one week, the next week, elections following week.
Well, Mary's saying middle of the week, middle of the month, so.
So if the museum is open the first Saturday of every month.
Second Friday.
So you could do the second or third Friday.
Maybe 2 weeks after that.
So that
Doesn't
would,
matter to me, I don't care.
Third Friday.
The third Friday is us.
So the third meeting now.
right, so if it was the second Friday
Yeah.
of every month?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like Paul's saying, third Friday is our meeting day, so
Yeah, that's right.
I think we kind of went to that
Second
timing
Friday.
because it's people set aside the time for the meeting and it's kind of in that same sequence there.
Yeah.
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 So for March 14th.
I think so.
And then maybe each month we might want to quick check the calendar, maybe not always have it the second in case, because between the holidays and things that might get under.
Why don't I set it up for 3 or 4 months and see how it goes?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I think so the one thing that would be important is if I put it on the calendar, if you decide to cancel, it's good for me to know ahead so we can. Because technically a work session is open to the public. So if you decide ahead of time not to meet, I can cancel that.
Yeah.
So that would go on the town calendar. So, and what would be the time frame?
The 10 to 2 is what we always did. I mean,
Or
10 to 12.
10 to 12 or 10 to 12?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll get that on.
That's Scott.
No, and we might eventually move to Saturdays or Wednesdays or, yeah. Okay.
All right. The next item then is council committee dinner. We have a couple of different dates.
Yeah.
It said 2 possible dates, but then I saw March 3rd, 10th, 24th,
A lot of options.
Oh, so
20th, May 12th, and June 2nd.
I was trying to truncate that sentence because I was almost out of room on the
We
agenda.
need to choose
We
two
need
out of
to
those.
choose two.
Yeah.
But let me pull up, Michaela
That's a
gave
good word,
me,
KG. See
um,
that word she used?
Sports minor.
Should it have more than one? It had more than one chunk?
okay,
So,
so she sent me an update the other day. April, let's see, April 14 is no longer available. April 28 is not available.
those are two I had circled. Sheesh,
I was thinking those could work too.
because
Let's see.
the week of the 10th is going to be a zinger for me. So
Me too.
we have our program that we.
Yeah, so we have March 3rd, 10th, and 24,
I know, I will
May
be out,
12th. Sorry, so, and then June 2nd.
I know I will be out of town on the March 10th and 24th dates.
And May 12th is
Oh, that's
the
me
thing
too,
up at
yeah.
Chautauqua.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, technically I'm in town on the 10th, but I have to fly out on the
Yes,
11th, so
right.
same difference.
So June 2?
Good for you.
Well, the 3rd works.
June?
Of March.
March and, May 12th could work. I haven't looked there yet.
March 3rd, that's like a week away.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's do it. Yeah, I think that May 12th would work for me. Well, let me check. June
May
2nd.
May 12th is the Chautauqua thing.
With the Heritage Roundtable.
Yeah.
Square Nail Awards.
And June
Wow,
2nd
good.
is also a Monday. Yeah, they're always Mondays. Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, June 2nd works. There's only that one June day.
Well, she
June.
has June 23rd in parentheses, but
Let me
so
look.
I don't know what that means.
June 2nd would work for me.
I wouldn't mind any of the March ones that weren't just next.
The 3rd?
The third.
Yeah,
Well, again, we've got our. That
We
would
got
be
the-
really good for
the week
me.
of
I'm gonna
the
get,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have cataract surgery
When's that?
on the 4th, I think it is, and then the follow-up on that.
Of March.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recommend June 2nd, 23rd from what I'm hearing.
That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So,
Thank you. I think that's good.
thank you.
Is there another date though? You said the 23rd?
She had included June 23rd.
Okay, I missed that.
It's not on here and she has it in parentheses, so I have to ask if that's what that means, but that would be your second choice. Is that-
Yeah.
And that makes it closer to a year from when we had the last one, so.
Yeah.
And by then we'll,
Okay.
yeah.
You'll know more and you can create a really good agenda to.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, March 3rd would be a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Okay. We can move on to item D then, upcoming events. So March 1st, museum open. Is everyone good, or does anyone have any outstanding conflicts as far as attending or supporting goes for that date?
I am still good for morning at Graff though.
Okay.
May I ask that we include Liam to bring in the signs to Grass Hall?
Yeah, I think because he it's hard to know what he's assigned that day for his parks.
Right, but if possible.
If possible, I think if you all could, because I don't always see him, if you could just, I think he's okay with the phone calls that you do. Just give him a call and ask if he's okay.
Because last time I got to fly again and I was staring at that and wondering, and I was still on my cane and I was saying, how am I gonna get that? And these boys went by, maybe middle school, and one hopped off and said, can I help you with something? Oh, brought in the sign.
Yeah.
I said, yours hope for God. Yeah, yeah.
Worst case, if you're ever in that situation again, leave them out and call him, and he might be able to get to it a little later because he knows how to get in.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that'd be good to have,
Yeah, that's,
for all of us to have his number. Yeah. Okay. That's it.
so I'm available I can do all 4 hours
Yeah, I'm good.
either place.
I'm good with mornings as well.
Yeah, I don't have to be at Graff, so I'm just fine being over there.
We can do morning or afternoon, but it seems like you always need people in the afternoon more than the morning.
I think so, yeah. I would agree with that.
Okay.
Sounds good there.
Okay, so
Next time then, annual spring program, If These Stones Could Talk, Tales of Columbia Cemetery at the Superior Community Center on March 12th at 7 p.m.
and some publicity has begun going out. And that's why I was asking about the Hello Superior, because that's always helpful too, but it's in the Recreation Department newsletter and was also in the Sentinel. And Sentinel. So,
And then it'll be, the community center always has a thing that goes out.
Yeah.
What's happening at the community center. And then I'm sure, comms will put out social media and email blasts.
so she would like to, it'd be nice if we could show her our cemetery before her program, because one of us will contact her about that. It's because she's going to speak to that as well as the Boulder Cemetery. What she'd like to see, since she worked on that project, she'd like to see it. What it's like now.
If you need me to help with that, I can.
Okay, anybody else is welcome too.
Are we going to have cookies?
Would you like to have cookies there as a budget item?
I think people enjoy it.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
It's sort of a nice, yeah.
That would probably be about a $35-40
Yes.
Sorry, that was a sarcastic whistle. If we can manage.
We used to get waters, but I don't know. You want to get a water and cookies or just cookies?
A lot of people bring their own water bottles.
Yeah.
It's true.
And there's the.
I don't like hot water.
And plus,
Save the ocean.
plus the little coffee and hot chocolate machines out there.
Machines.
And the drinking fountain for refilling bottles.
Yeah.
I'm with you, not spending the money or putting the plastic out there.
I will not be here on the 12th.
Me neither, unfortunately.
I should be there.
Good.
Is it better if we come a little bit early as usual?
Yeah, just a little bit. I'll get all the projector, just like we did for the geology, it'll be the same exact setup. So I'll have that company come in and,
Okay.
and that won't be your budget, the projector and the sound. And so it might be good to have Mary here like at least 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time so we can just get everything set up.
And she can do just a flash drive, right?
Well,
Did you have a computer?
and Nancy, if you're listening, I need to ask if Nancy is interested in filming it.
Oh, yeah.
Just because we've been trying to archive all of the programs. So just, if that's the case, we would need that presentation ahead of time. More than an hour. So
You think so?
I could work with Mary
Yeah.
to try to get it sooner.
We can work with Mary on this, I think.
Okay, but otherwise, I think we're set.
Mm-hmm.
But tell your friends, tell your
Yeah.
family.
That would be great.
Yes, this program is really well done, so according to my sources, so I think we should be good information.
Sorry, I'll be missing.
Yeah.
The next item then is the Asty Park grand opening. So I think we still need to identify potentially a concrete date for that.
And do I recall you all talked a little bit about maybe June-ish?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think the one thing we really want is the fire video up and going before we have the grand opening. I'm not sure about anything else that we have to have, but that's, I think, important.
Yeah.
The Lions would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I think June should probably be a reasonable timeline to make sure everything is up to date and included on there.
You think so? Think we'd be ready by then?
Right.
I believe so. And I think knowing the interface, at least what like Bob had shown me, and I walked through it a little bit. If absolute worst case scenario comes, we can use just like URL links and have people basically operate as like an iPad where you can just go to even the town Superior website. If we had a specific page we wanted them to be on, although I know that'd be less than ideal, but that's, I'd say, the backup option.
The other thing I recall is, you were discussing either a weekday or a Saturday, and what would be the best for town council and or you all, or, getting the most bigger, a bigger crowd.
Also, when is the mine walk usually?
What?
The mine walk?
May,
Oh, May.
It's in May.
Yeah, first Saturday in May. But
and it's after an open museum day, so May.
Yeah.
4th or whatever.
combine the grand opening with an open day?
Wait, are you saying combine it with the walk?
No,
No,
with an open day on like June, the first Saturday.
Oh, in June, yes, yeah, okay.
That'd be June 7th.
Yeah.
So let's so we would have like a little ceremony of some sort, like at 10:30 or something.
and then
And then
open.
And then
Deal?
Are we doing a food truck with that or not a food truck?
That's completely up to you.
it sure draws people. Makes it more of an event.
Yeah, and that's why I think we should be on a Saturday having all that,
Yeah.
because you got a lot of working people and I think you're gonna get a bigger crowd on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's just my thought, and a food truck.
And I will say, Councilman Jason's, eyes lit up when he heard about a pierogi truck. Last meeting,
That's right, he did, didn't he?
and we did have that, before the fire and all.
Yeah,
And he recommended another restaurant down Wadsworth for us.
yes, he did. I think Cartwright's had been to that one, at the Cracovia.
Yeah, in fact, I
Yeah.
just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
right.
Sounds
I
good.
live close to,
Yeah.
I go.
They do have good beer there too.
No, I didn't know.
Been there.
Anyway.
Okay, so June 7th?
Can we have the dais and a tent like we did for the
It's
groundbreaking or the finishing, I guess?
yeah, I can talk to Michaela. I mean, that's a budget expense.
Would we need it? Couldn't we just have someone standing on the front porch and gathering around? Because it's not, we wouldn't have, we'd have the mayor or some, a speech or two and then let everybody come in and,
I would say if we need any kind of tent space or regular event type tent rather than the big tent might be fine. Or a couple of them if we needed a couple of them.
mhm.
I was thinking of shade for one thing, but that other than that,
So maybe a couple of the regular event tents,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, because it's,
but it's gonna rain.
it kind of starts jumping out of, it's, similar to the ribbon cutting, it kind of became a kind of a small town event, not, and that's where the events kind of jumped in and.
oh, okay.
And I think maybe in this case, it could be arts and history that helps fund that event, especially because it's kind of above and beyond your regular programming. It's really to celebrate the town. So, I mean, we can look into all of those things, I think, for sure.
We'll also need to get the fire truck over there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay,
Otherwise, I'm
So we're-
over and start her again.
But I think as far as like a date goes, June 7th, and we can probably look at budgeting as far as different tents and the times.
Yeah.
Maybe at our next meeting.
And whether we might want to have Grasso closed that day or not.
Okay.
Well,
but I think it's good, if that's the date you want to work with, I can get Leslie involved to get that on the calendar for town council.
so what time of the day though? Want to do it early enough so that people could tour the,
I mean, I like the idea of having like a little event at like starting it at 10:30.
Yeah.
And also June, that's earlier in the day, so it won't be too hot.
Mhm.
It's a national trail set.
Oh, that's what we were looking at.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about this.
yeah, so that's gonna be a town event.
Thanks for looking at that.
Yes,
Ooh, yeah, we
First Saturday
can.
in June.
there's already another event that day, so maybe
Yeah.
that's why we were talking about a separate day in June.
Okay.
June 14th.
Ooh, I'm glad you saw that.
Yeah,
Earlier.
yeah, we talked about this the last time we talked about
That's,
this.
we need to be reminded, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
June 14th is Flag Day.
That's a good day. We have a
We
flag.
could, I know, it's like we could potentially tie that in with Flag Day.
Would you be okay being
I
open
think so.
one Saturday and then doing an event following everybody?
I think we could do that. And then we could put like
Yeah.
any final touches, museum the week before too.
That's true.
Wait, what was your question, Casey?
If the commission is okay being open museum one Saturday and then doing an event the following?
Yeah, I think that would work, at least for us, it would work, wouldn't it? That would work for us, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I have to check first.
So the only other thing I see on June 14th is there's a summer concert series, but that would be in the evening.
Yeah, that's an
Okay,
And I almost think that what Scott was saying is a good idea, maybe not having Grasso open that particular date
Yeah,
and, just focusing all our efforts on, Asti.
Yeah.
Especially with the fire truck up there and the little speeches and,
I think that makes sense.
And stuff and everything.
well, yeah.
That'll make it easier to have it a separate day too. We can just focus on ASCII.
well, no, we'll have a lot of people too, presumably into Grasso the month before as we start to walk, the historic walk, so.
All right, so I think we're set June 14th, grand opening. Exciting, and then we can kind of go over some budgetary items, I think, at our next meeting. Next is Amfram, April 21st in Louisville at 1 to 3 p.m.
I'm glad to hear Louisville's involved, Fran.
do you know if they have a topic that day or just a general meeting?
They mentioned,
I didn't even know about that, so I don't know exactly. Who was the source of that? Or did you tell when the next meeting is or something like that?
Mary's been
Mary,
tracking
that's
this
what I
pretty
thought.
well.
That girl Mary.
It's in email.
it is.
Oh, maybe I did see that. I couldn't think about it.
Anyway, it's, not Louisville.
But we ought to be able to get some representatives there for this all the way to Louisville.
Yeah.
Yes,
What am I doing?
Is that at their museum or?
that's what they're saying, but.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course, now that they always start at 1, so they've stopped all the hassle, so to speak, of lunches and all that. People can just meet. Yeah, no, I didn't get any, topic or anything.
That's that third Monday in April. Okay. Good deal. I guess they won't be doing lunch, will they, if it starts at 1 o'clock?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think we've already answered item 5.
Yeah, which is looking for June 16th post.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll be
No.
posting it if we're.
They did a call for volunteers for that last Monday as well, and we'll probably get one. So
Mm-hmm. They
Yeah.
get somebody?
I don't recall, but they probably will.
I bet they will. We could look at it on the page and
We might want to think about hosting maybe come the fall or something.
Mhm.
I think it's, how many were there last?
Well, that was a special event.
That's true.
So they're around 20 or so.
When I went to the one in September, there were maybe 10 or 12. I mean, it's not huge right now.
Yeah, they have some of the hostings already booked up through August, September.
okay.
Maybe we
So
need
maybe
to be
later
more
in the year,
settled next year or
or
something.
later.
Yeah.
If we're all set there, we can probably move on to staff updates. So internship inquiry and status there. JD, thank you for your email on details about it.
Yeah. I thought that would also give you the opportunity to think about it. So it would, so just to clarify, Catherine is town staff. But she is interning at History Colorado. Jade is interning at History Colorado, but would be a volunteer for the town. So I think I gave you most of the details and sort of my FYI side notes based on the feedback that Michaela got from Jade. So whatever you think could work. I do think if she does come on as a volunteer with us, I would oversee the volunteer position, and then I could see maybe just having 2 commission mentors.
Maureen, do you have a comment?
Oh, it concerned her comment that she wanted to develop written articles. I wondered if you gave a handout to the second graders. I thought perhaps she could design an age-appropriate handout explaining the history. I didn't know how much you gave the children, but that's something Jade could do on remote. She was a second grader who benefited. She'd have more insight into what was age appropriate. What I do is basically geared to a college educated audience, but you could have a handout. And I think she could certainly do the open house, even though we must jump through hoops to get security background. But those are 2 things she could do as a volunteer.
Yeah, I don't know if she's interested in the open museum days or the open house kind of thing, but potentially writing.
Yeah.
But I think, again, her desire for a regular schedule except for maybe a break, a break, like she indicated, like potentially like spring break. We could line up some work and have her do a shorter burst.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a list of potential projects she could work on regularly, like developing a handout, helping organize, develop rotating displays from our materials, maybe helping investigate and identify a History Colorado collection that we could get up here as a project assistant. There might be other things.
Good ideas, but how often are we gonna rotate exhibits? Like, how frequent would she be working on things?
Well, it wouldn't be on the rotation schedule. It'd be so that she would help develop, so we would have rotating exhibits. Yeah.
And also her, helping to design exhibits with fresh eye.
Yeah.
She might be able to come in and look at ASTI and say, well, here, let's do with the mining things or something.
And we might even be able to combine it with Maureen's suggestion is materials appropriate for second graders, have an educational exhibit for like our second grader class.
I guess what comes to my mind with the written is teaming up on the description
Yeah.
side of things and helping to create those laminated handouts.
Yeah.
I
That too.
think
Anything like
that to me seems like the most regular, and where she could work on something.
and it's the
And
existing
she has a
action
list.
instead of a new
Right.
action. Yeah.
Because I think, you all know what a lot of the most common questions that people ask, and maybe that could be a start point of these sort of handout things, laminated things, like I could work to get a way to display them or something, but that could be a start sort of on that docent side, because then she would be contributing and writing,
Yeah.
helping to write.
And she'd have identifiable products for a resume or college application. Yeah.
I think maybe Maureen suggested something that sounded like to me a handout, which I don't think, the second graders wouldn't keep good hold on a paper handout for very long, probably, especially rotating.
Color.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did give them the color.
And we already have a coloring book,
Yeah.
but it's not that a page couldn't be eventually added to the coloring book.
Or
I was thinking-
docent part of it.
Or given to the teachers.
That's all I was thinking, yeah.
Afterwards as a follow-up.
She could, yeah.
So just because we're getting kind of close to time, how would you like me to proceed? And again, I could sort of be like a separate lead as her point of contact, but I'm thinking like just a couple members in this group to sort of mentor.
I think it'd be good to meet her and just sit and visit with her and talk more directly perhaps about what she'd like to do rather than looking at a written proposal.
When is spring break?
And then our March.
End of March.
Yeah, that's usually last week of March.
Okay.
Have we identified this is something we are able to offer, this
Yeah.
support of the
That's what I'm
materials?
saying, because of the conversation
Yeah.
that Kayla had, she has already sort of identified what she would like to do. I think if I maybe came back to her and talked to her about these, working on descriptions and backstories and docent pages or something, would that be okay?
And I also love what Scott suggested about having her help plan and organize or whatever, what kind of exhibits that could be borrowed from History Colorado that would be appropriate for us. Even if we had a list and we wouldn't get to some of them till after she's off at university. She'd at least know what our space is and our requirements are. And since she's already volunteering there.
I think, how about if I let her know about both I think the docent part, the writing part, a lot of that could be done over email, but then get her maybe to come to an open museum day just to meet you, see the
Yeah.
face, and have that conversation.
Sounds good.
Something like that.
Yeah, and if she needs a workspace for regular hours, that wasn't clear. Do we know that? If she's looking for a fixed set of hours or a fixed time, would it be on our location or the city location and need a workspace or?
Yeah, it would probably either be
Things like
community
that.
center or the museum or remote. But again, I think coming to the museum on an open museum day is fine, but if she starts working with any individuals, we have to do those background checks. So that's why I'm sort of talking about having a couple members step up as mentors. So, let me just get back to her. I'll report back to you. How about that? Perfect.
She would already have passed a background check if she's.
No, our group would have,
To work with her.
our group would have.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Make sure we're okay. Got it.
Okay, and then the only other thing, the Grasso barn and Homestead House have been cleaned out.
Oh, wonderful.
They are very clean. So the clean out process started out with putting bait traps down. And then a couple weeks later, full clean out. So the bait traps are in there. You need to be aware of that. And they're larger because of our larger friends that would come to visit.
In the barn, probably.
Yeah, so, but if you see them, please don't remove them, and we're gonna get this, the bait traps checked and hopefully get some cleanings done on a regular basis, so we won't get into that bad shape we were in. The window up high on the barn still needs to be fixed, and it's on my list to get with parts on that, okay? So that's the last on that, on that project, so that's where we are.
Thank you. And I know we're kind of short on time, we're a little over, but work plan check-in. Any sort of other outstanding items you want to go over there, or are we all good for the time being?
Again, sorry.
Work plan check-in, are we all good as far as items there are concerned?
I'm good.
For the time
I
being.
think we're right on track.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
for time being, we could be.
Then any other items? Yeah.
Mr. Chairperson, I give guys some respect.
I don't need too much respect.
Okay.
Never gave him any at all.
I forgot earlier to, the Jill Blaylock. I proposed to her that the subcommittee could meet with her on the 28th of February to see what she'd like to donate. So I think I got to the subcommittee. Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Great.
okay, and so I think that's all.
Karen, did you say you had something? Did you have something for the other?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
I think if we're all good, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
No.
We need to adjourn.
Recording stopped.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you.